There was a time when you had nothing. No resources, no confidence, no direction. Just a desire, a faint whisper inside that said, there's more to me than this. That voice, that hunger, is the beginning of every unstoppable person's story, because greatness doesn't start with advantage, it starts with nothing. It starts with someone who refuses to stay where they are. You see, the difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise is not circumstance, it's decision. The decision to no longer tolerate mediocrity. The decision to take ownership of your life, even when everything around you seems to scream that you can't. When you make that decision, the world begins to bend around your determination. From nothing to unstoppable is not a journey of luck. It's a transformation of identity. It's not about waiting for a miracle. It's about becoming the miracle. When you decide to change, when you demand more from yourself than anyone else ever could, something shifts inside of you. That shift is the moment your power awakens. Most people let their circumstances define them. They say, I can't because I don't have the money, I don't have the support, I don't have the education. But unstoppable people don't say that. They use what they do have: hunger, heart, and hustle. You might not have the resources, but you can become resourceful. You might not have the tools, but you can build them. You might not have the support, but you can become your own foundation. The truth is, when you have nothing to lose, you are free. Free to take risks, free to fail, free to push boundaries. When everything's been taken from you, all that's left is your drive, and that's the one thing no one can ever steal. That's what makes you unstoppable. You become unstoppable the moment you stop waiting for permission. You stop needing people to believe in you. You stop playing small to make others comfortable. You stop shrinking your dreams to fit into someone else's version of possible. You realize that the only validation you ever needed was your own. And make no mistake, this journey won't be easy. You'll face rejection, doubt, failure, fear. You'll question yourself. You'll fall down. You'll lose people who can't handle your rise. But every time you fall, you're building strength. Every no is preparing you for a bigger wise. Every failure is forging resilience in your soul. Pain will visit you, but pain is not your enemy. It's your invitation. It's life testing how bad you want it. It's life asking, are you willing to keep moving when it hurts? The answer to that question determines whether you stay broken or become unbreakable. To go from nothing to unstoppable, you must rewire your mind. You must learn to see obstacles as opportunities. You must stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Every challenge carries a lesson designed to unlock the next level of your potential. The unstoppable don't live in the past, they use it. They don't get paralyzed by fear, they harness it. They don't wait for motivation, they create momentum. They act, they move. They make things happen even when they don't feel ready, because they know success is born from movement, not perfection. You want to know what separates the ordinary from the unstoppable? It's not talent, it's not luck, it's relentless execution. It's doing the work when no one is watching. It's believing in yourself when no one else does. It's refusing to quit even when everything inside you screams to give up. The unstoppable know that every moment of struggle is preparing them for something greater. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Every loss is fuel for their next victory. They turn pain into power, fear into fuel, and doubt into drive. Remember this, you are not defined by what you lack. You are defined by what you do with what you have. The greatest empires were built by people who started with nothing but a dream and a relentless spirit. That same fire lives in you. If you can see it in your mind, you can make it real. If you can feel it in your heart, you can manifest it in your world. But you have to move massively, consistently, intentionally. You have to stop negotiating with your goals. Stop saying someday is now. There will come a moment when you look back and realize everything you thought was breaking you was actually building you. That every rejection was redirection. That every delay was divine timing. And in that moment, you'll understand you never had nothing. You always had everything you needed inside you. You are the builder, the architect, the storm, and the calm after it. You are the proof that no matter where you start, you can rise, you can fight, you can conquer. From nothing, you can become unstoppable. Because the truth is, you already are. It's time to remember it. Greatness begins when you decide to rise above your circumstances. Every person who has ever achieved something extraordinary started at a moment of decision, a moment where they said, enough of being stuck. Enough of living below their potential, enough of allowing fear or excuses to dictate their future. That decision, that single flicker of conviction is where greatness is born, because greatness is never given, it's chosen, claimed, and forged through relentless determination. You don't rise when things are easy. You rise when everything around you seems to be pushing you down, and yet you refuse to stay there. People spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment to change. They wait for more money, more confidence, more clarity. But the truth is, you don't need more. You need to decide. The moment you decide to rise above your circumstances, the world around you begins to change, not because the external world instantly transforms, but because you do. You begin to see possibilities where you once saw problems. You begin to act with courage where you once hesitated in fear. You begin to walk with certainty where you once doubted your own worth. Circumstances are temporary, but decisions are eternal. What you decide today can rewrite the entire story of your life. Maybe you were born into struggle. Maybe you've faced loss, rejection, or failure. Maybe you've convinced yourself that your circumstances define you, but they don't. The truth is, your circumstances are not your destiny. They are your starting point. Every limitation is an invitation to rise. Every challenge is a doorway to a stronger version of you. Every obstacle is simply asking, how bad do you really want it? Greatness doesn't belong to the lucky or the privileged. It belongs to the committed. It belongs to those who choose to see opportunity in adversity, to those who choose to act even when the odds are against them. The difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck isn't their situation, it's their standard. The moment you raise your standard, everything changes. You stop accepting less than you deserve. You stop settling for comfort when you're capable of greatness. You stop blaming the world and start shaping it. When you decide to rise, something inside you ignites. It's not motivation, it's power. It's the energy that comes from knowing you are no longer a victim of your environment. You start being reactive and start being proactive. You stop saying, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what can I create from this? That question alone transforms your life. Because when you shift from blame to ownership, from reaction to creation, you move from powerless to powerful. Your circumstances are not holding you back. Your story about your circumstances is, if you believe you're trapped, you'll stay trapped. If you believe you're powerless, you'll never act. But the moment you decide to rewrite your story, your entire reality begins to align with that new truth. The person who says, I can't, and the person who says, I will find a way, both end up being right. Your beliefs shape your destiny, and those beliefs begin with a decision. Look at anyone who has ever achieved something monumental. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait for the perfect timing or the perfect plan. They acted while it was messy, uncertain, and hard. They didn't allow circumstances to dictate their effort. They refused to let their environment define their identity. And that's what rising above is. It's the art of refusing to be limited by what's around you. There will be moments when you feel like you can't keep going, when it feels like the weight of your circumstances is too heavy to carry. That's when you must remind yourself that pressure creates diamonds. The struggle you're in today is building the strength you'll need tomorrow. When you stop running from difficulty and start rising through it, your power expands. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when you're forced to dig deep, to adapt, to fight for the life you deserve. When you rise above your circumstances, you become someone new. You stop living in reaction to the past and start designing the future. You stop letting fear control your choices and start letting purpose guide your actions. Every decision you make from that state of power sends a message to the universe. I am not my past. I am not my pain. I am not my limitations. I am my decisions. People who achieve greatness understand that their external world is a reflection of their internal state. If you want to change what's happening around you, you must first change what's happening within you. You must stop identifying with the struggle and start identifying with the solution. You must stop focusing on what's missing and start focusing on what's possible. When your mindset shifts, everything else follows. The mind is the battlefield. It's where victory or defeat begins. The person who conquers their mind can conquer anything. The one who allows circumstances to control their emotions will always stay stuck in the same loop, repeating the same struggles, telling the same story. But the one who masters their mind, who says, no matter what's happening around me, I choose to rise, becomes unstoppable. That's when greatness begins to flow through you. Rising above your circumstances doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to be limited by it. It means you see the same facts but interpret them differently. You see the same storm, but you sail through it while others sink. You see the same failure, but you extract wisdom while others drown in regret. You see the same pain, but you use it as fuel instead of letting it become your prison. The world doesn't need more people who have everything figured out. It needs more people who are willing to rise in the middle of chaos, who can stand tall when everything around them falls apart, who can lead not because life is easy, but because they've learned how to stay strong when it's not. Those are the people who inspire change. Those are the people who embody greatness. The decision to rise is the moment your old life ends and your new one begins. You may not have control over where you started, but you always have control over where you go from here. You can choose to break the cycle. You can choose to be the one who changes everything. The power to rise above is already within you. It's been waiting for you to decide. And once you make that decision, once you truly commit, nothing can stop you from stepping into the greatness you were always meant to live. Resourcefulness is more powerful than resources. You can take away a person's money, their tools, their connections, their comfort. But if you can't take away their resourcefulness, you can't stop them, because resources may run out, but resourcefulness is infinite. It's the mindset that turns scarcity into creativity, problems into possibilities, and challenges into breakthroughs. It's the inner force that says, I'll find a way no matter what. The truth is, the most successful people in the world didn't start with the most. They started with the least, but they refused to let that define them. They found a way to do more with less, to see opportunity where others saw dead ends, and to keep moving when others quit. Resourcefulness is the fire that keeps burning when everything else is gone. It's what pushes you to innovate when there's no path ahead, to adapt when your plan falls apart, to stay hungry when others grow complacent. It's not about what you have in your hand. It's about what you have in your heart and mind. Some people get caught up saying, if only I had more time, more money, more help, more luck. But the truth is, if you can't make something happen with what you already have, you won't make it happen with more. Because the real problem isn't a lack of resources, it's a lack of creativity, hunger, and commitment. Think about every great innovator, every leader, every self-made success story. They didn't succeed because everything was laid out perfectly for them. They succeeded because they refused to let limitations define their future. They used imagination when money was missing. They used persistence when doors were closed. They used courage when fear tried to take over. That's resourcefulness. It's the ability to turn whatever you have into whatever you need. When life backs you into a corner, that's where your true power shows up. Anyone can act confident when everything's going well. But the moment the world says no, that's when you discover who you really are. Resourceful people don't stop when the plan fails. They build a new plan. They don't see failure as the end. They see it as feedback. They don't say, I can't. They ask, how can I? That question alone separates those who survive from those who thrive. When you're resourceful, every obstacle becomes a teacher. Every setback becomes a chance to grow stronger, sharper, more creative. You begin to see that every problem carries the seed of its own solution if you're willing to look deep enough. The moment you start thinking differently, you unlock a level of power that doesn't depend on luck or timing or external validation. It comes from within. It's the kind of power that no one can give you and no one can take away. Most people focus too much on what they don't have. They tell themselves, I can't start because I don't have enough. But what if the very thing you think you're missing is what's supposed to make you grow? What if not having the perfect conditions is the reason you'll become stronger, sharper, more creative? Comfort can make you soft, but challenge makes you capable. When you're forced to think differently, to stretch, to adapt, you discover how powerful you really are. You don't learn resourcefulness from winning. You learn it from struggle. You learn it from the nights when everything seems to fall apart and yet you keep going. You learn it from the moments when you have no idea how to move forward, but you take a step anyway. You learn it from fighting through uncertainty, from refusing to quit, from choosing to trust yourself even when nothing around you gives you a reason to. Every time you survive without the ideal conditions, you build strength that no one can take away from you. Resourcefulness is the foundation of all progress. It's what allows ordinary people to do extraordinary things. It's what allows dreamers to build empires from nothing. It's what allows visionaries to keep pushing when everyone else says it's impossible. The truth is, when you're truly resourceful, you realize that everything you need is already available to you. You just have to see it differently. Sometimes it's not about getting new resources. It's about using the old ones in a new way. It's about thinking bigger, acting bolder, and refusing to accept that impossible is real. If you look at the most powerful transformations in history, they all began with resourcefulness. Someone looked at what everyone else saw as a limitation and said, what can I do with this? They turned scraps into tools, rejection into fuel, and obstacles into stepping stones. They didn't wait for the perfect situation. They created it because they understood that the power is not in the environment. It's in the mind. When you rely too much on resources, you become dependent. But when you rely on resourcefulness, you become unstoppable. You no longer need everything to go your way. You make things go your way. You no longer wait for opportunities. You create them. You no longer wait for help. You become your own solution. That's what true power looks like. It's not comfort or privilege. It's the ability to rise in spite of what you lack. Every time you find a way forward despite the odds, you're training your mind to adapt, to evolve, to expand. And that's what separates the dreamers from the doers. The dreamers wish for better circumstances. The doers take the same circumstances and find a way to make them work. That's why resourceful people keep rising. They can't be stopped by external limits because they've mastered the internal game. The truth is, your creativity is the most valuable resource you'll ever have. Money can disappear. Support can fade. Circumstances can change overnight, but the ability to think differently, to see opportunity where others see nothing, that's eternal. That's what builds lasting success. That's what allows you to rebuild, to reinvent, to rise again and again, no matter how many times you fall. When you're resourceful, you stop waiting for a miracle and start realizing you are one. You stop hoping for a breakthrough and start becoming the person who creates it. You start using every ounce of energy, every bit of pain, every fragment of experience to move closer to your vision. You stop looking at your disadvantages as curses and start seeing them as the exact ingredients you need to become unstoppable. Being resourceful is about believing that there's always a way. Always, even when the door is locked, even when the path disappears, even when no one else believes. Because the moment you believe there's a way, your mind starts looking for it. You start finding angles, connections, solutions you never saw before. That's how magic happens. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because your mind becomes powerful enough to overcome anything that's hard. So when you find yourself saying, I don't have enough, stop. Instead, ask, what can I do with what I have right now? That simple shift will change everything, because success doesn't come from abundance. It comes from action. It comes from using every bit of what's already in your hands, squeezing every drop of possibility from every situation and refusing to let limitation win. Resourcefulness is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's what turns dreams into plans and plans into results. The people who change the world aren't the ones with the most. They're the ones who do the most with what they have. They think bigger, move faster, and never stop believing that there's always another way forward. And every time they prove that to themselves, they rise to another level of strength, clarity, and purpose. Because once you learn to be resourceful, you realize that you were never lacking anything at all. You were simply learning how powerful you already are. Pain is not punishment, it's preparation. Most people spend their lives running from pain, avoiding it, resenting it, trying to numb it. But pain is not your enemy. Pain is the great teacher. It's life's way of breaking you open so it can show you what you're truly made of. Every moment of struggle, every heartbreak, every disappointment carries within it a lesson, a gift, a seed of strength that can only be discovered through experience. Pain doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to sculpt you. It comes to strip away the layers of weakness, fear, and doubt that have been holding you back so that your true power can emerge. You can't grow without pressure. You can't evolve without discomfort. Every time you face pain, you're being given an opportunity to rise. Think about the greatest transformations in your life. They didn't come from easy moments. They came from the moments that broke you, challenged you, forced you to question everything you thought you knew. Pain shakes the foundation so you can rebuild it stronger. It's not punishment, it's preparation for the next version of you. When you look at people who have achieved extraordinary things, you'll notice one thing: they've all faced pain. Deep pain, loss, rejection, failure, humiliation, setbacks that would make most people quit. But they didn't see pain as a reason to stop. They saw it as a reason to keep going. They understood that pain wasn't a sign of defeat. It was proof of growth. The more they endured, the more they learned. The more they learned, the more they became. That's what separates those who crumble from those who conquer. Pain reveals truth. It exposes what's real. When things are easy, anyone can pretend to be strong. But when pain hits, the masks come off. You see who you really are, and that clarity is priceless. Pain shows you where you've been settling, where you've been lying to yourself, where you've been accepting less than you deserve. It brings awareness to what needs to change, and without that awareness, you stay stuck. Pain forces evolution. It's the universe saying, you've outgrown this level. It's time to rise higher. So many people resist pain because they think it means something's wrong with them. They think they've failed or they're not enough. But pain doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're being built. Just like a muscle that grows through resistance, your character grows through struggle. Every time you push through discomfort, you become stronger. Every time you endure what feels unbearable, you expand your capacity to handle more. What once felt impossible becomes normal, and that's how you level up in life. When you change your relationship with pain, everything changes. Instead of running from it, you start to lean into it. You start asking, what is this trying to teach me? What am I meant to learn from this? And suddenly, pain stops being something you fear. It becomes something you respect. You begin to see it as the signal that you're growing, that you're evolving, that you're being prepared for something greater than what you've known before. Pain is the price of progress. You can't have strength without struggle, courage without fear, victory without challenge. Every hero's story begins with suffering. Every comeback starts with a breakdown. Every breakthrough is born out of frustration, confusion, or loss. It's not the pain itself that defines you. It's what you do with it. You can let it harden you or let it refine you. You can let it make you bitter or let it make you wise. You can let it destroy your spirit or let it awaken it. Pain is the process of shedding what no longer serves you. It's life's way of saying, this version of you cannot carry the weight of where you're going. So it breaks you down, not to punish, but to rebuild. It burns away the illusions, the excuses, the lies, and the fears that have kept you small. In the fire of pain, you meet your truest self, the part of you that's unshakable, resilient, unstoppable. When you go through pain consciously, you gain perspective. You start to realize that the things you once thought were unbearable are actually shaping you into someone powerful. You begin to see patterns, how every time life hurt you, it was redirecting you, protecting you, or preparing you. Maybe the relationship that broke your heart was preparing you to love with more strength. Maybe the job that fell apart was preparing you to build something of your own. Maybe the failure that humiliated you was preparing you to lead with humility and wisdom. There's always a purpose hiding inside the pain, but you have to be willing to look for it. Pain demands presence. When you're in pain, you can't fake it. You can't distract yourself with noise or pretense. Pain forces you to stop, to breathe, to listen. It pulls you into the now. And in that stillness, you find truth. You find clarity. You find the courage to let go of what's no longer meant for you. It's in that space that transformation happens, not when everything is perfect, but when everything falls apart and you finally see yourself clearly. Pain connects you to your humanity. It humbles you. It teaches you compassion. When you've suffered, you understand others on a deeper level. You stop judging people's struggles because you've lived your own. You learn to forgive, to empathize, to support. The people who have known deep pain are often the ones who bring the most light because they know what it's like to walk through the dark. Pain doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you kinder. Sometimes pain is the only thing powerful enough to wake you up. You can ignore the signs, silence your intuition, and pretend everything's fine. But when the pain comes, you can't escape it. It demands change. It's the ultimate motivator. It pushes you to take action, to stop settling, to finally do the things you've been avoiding. Pain strips away comfort, and comfort is the enemy of growth. The moment you stop avoiding discomfort and start embracing it, you begin to grow at a speed you never imagined. The truth is, pain doesn't care who you are. It visits everyone. It doesn't discriminate. But while pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Suffering is what happens when you resist pain instead of learning from it. When you accept pain as part of the process, you stop fighting it. You allow it to move through you, to transform you, to refine you. And when it's done, you're lighter, freer, more powerful than before. Pain teaches you that nothing is permanent. Not joy, not sorrow, not failure. Everything changes, everything evolves. That's why pain is sacred. It reminds you that you can endure, that you can adapt, that you can start again. It reminds you that even when everything is falling apart, you are still here, still breathing, still capable of rising. Pain is not here to crush you, it's here to call you higher. Every time you go through pain and survive, you build proof. Proof that you're stronger than you thought. Proof that you can face what once scared you. Proof that nothing can break you unless you allow it. That proof becomes your confidence. It becomes your armor. It becomes the silent knowing that no matter what happens, you will handle it. Pain is not punishment, it's preparation for power. It's the universe testing your capacity, seeing if you're ready for the blessings you've been asking for. Because everything you want requires a stronger version of you, and pain is the forge that creates it. When you can endure pain and still move forward, you become unstoppable. When you can thank pain for what it teaches, you become free. And when you can use pain as fuel instead of fear, you become the kind of person nothing in this world can ever break. The unstoppable create momentum through relentless action. Momentum is the invisible force that turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. It's the energy that builds when you refuse to stop, when you keep moving forward, even when progress seems invisible. when every small step compounds into a force so powerful it becomes unstoppable. Most people wait for motivation before they act. They wait for inspiration, for the perfect plan, for the perfect conditions. But the truth is, momentum doesn't wait for perfection. It is born from action. You don't get momentum by thinking about it or planning it endlessly. You get it by moving, by doing, by committing to the next step, even when it's uncomfortable, uncertain, or inconvenient. Every small action adds up. Every decision, every effort, every choice to keep going builds energy that propels you forward. The key is not to wait for the mountain to move, but to start climbing. Even tiny movements create waves. Even small victories compound into massive breakthroughs. Momentum is the cumulative effect of consistency and intensity. The person who takes one step today, another tomorrow, and another the day after begins to move faster than anyone who waits for permission, clarity, or opportunity. That's how ordinary people become extraordinary. Action is the antidote to fear. Fear paralyzes most people because they overthink, analyze, and wait for perfect conditions. But momentum crushes fear because it's impossible to stay afraid when you're moving. Action produces clarity. Action produces confidence. Action produces results. The more you do, the more you see, the more you know, the more unstoppable you become. Waiting for the perfect moment only delays your success. It never guarantees it. The unstoppable understand that waiting is a trap. Momentum is created in the moment, not in the dream. Relentless action requires discipline. It requires refusing to stop when it's difficult, when you're tired, when the world says no. It requires committing to a standard of movement that others cannot match. The difference between someone who achieves and someone who dreams is not talent or luck. It's the willingness to take action consistently. The unstoppable are not the ones who have everything figured out. They are the ones who act even when they don't. They are the ones who show up again and again because they know that movement, no matter how small, compounds into unstoppable force. Momentum grows exponentially. The longer you keep moving, the easier it becomes to keep moving. Each action builds upon the last. Each effort generates energy that makes the next step lighter, faster, and more powerful. That's why the most successful people never stop, even after achieving milestones. They understand that stopping too long causes friction, and friction slows progress. The key is to harness energy, to keep the ball rolling, to maintain the velocity that makes you unstoppable. Momentum doesn't just make things easier, it magnifies your impact. Momentum transforms obstacles into opportunities. When you are moving fast, resistance is no longer a wall, but a challenge to overcome. Problems that would have paralyzed you become manageable because you have energy behind you. Your confidence grows, your decisions sharpen, and your capacity expands. Action feeds momentum, and momentum feeds courage. When you take one step forward, the next step becomes easier. When you act today, tomorrow looks less intimidating. Momentum builds belief, and belief fuels even more action. The world rewards action, not intention. Anyone can have a vision, a plan, or a dream, but the world only recognizes those who move. The people who change their lives, their communities, and the world are the ones who refuse to stay stagnant. They don't wait for the wind. They create their own wind. They don't wait for perfect timing. They make time perfect through movement. They understand that momentum is the engine of progress and action is the fuel. Without action, dreams remain invisible. Without movement, potential remains untapped. Momentum is also contagious. When you move, others begin to follow. When you take decisive action, it inspires confidence in those around you. People are drawn to energy, to forward motion, to the unstoppable force that refuses to quit. Your momentum influences your environment, attracts opportunity, and opens doors that were once closed. Action creates visibility. Action creates influence. Action multiplies your impact. Every step you take forward sends ripples that extend far beyond what you see. Relentless action requires courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite fear. The unstoppable act while trembling, while uncertain, while doubting themselves. They don't wait to feel brave. They create bravery through action. Momentum and courage feed each other. The more you act, the braver you become. The braver you become, the more action you can take. It's a cycle that builds unstoppable energy and resilience. Every step, no matter how small, reinforces the belief that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. Action also teaches you faster than planning ever could. You learn more by doing than by thinking. You learn what works, what doesn't, and how to adjust along the way. Momentum is created by experimentation, by trying, by failing, and by learning. Waiting for certainty only delays growth. The unstoppable embrace uncertainty because they know that action is the fastest path to clarity. Every forward step is a discovery. Every attempt is data. Every mistake is an advantage if you use it to fuel the next move. Momentum doesn't require perfection, it requires persistence. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. Waiting for the perfect plan, perfect conditions, or perfect skill level keeps most people from ever moving. Momentum is built through imperfect action repeated consistently. You take one imperfect step, then another, and eventually you find yourself moving faster than those who waited for perfect conditions. The unstoppable understand that imperfect action produces results far faster than perfect inaction ever could. Momentum is energy, and energy flows where attention goes. The more you focus on action, the more energy you generate. The more energy you generate, the more powerful your results become. Movement creates velocity, and velocity becomes unstoppable. When you take consistent action, life begins to bend in your favor. Opportunities appear, doors open, challenges shrink, progress accelerates. Momentum turns ordinary effort into extraordinary impact, and ordinary people into forces of nature. Momentum also compounds with clarity of purpose. When your actions are aligned with your deepest goals, every movement creates leverage. You're not just moving, you're moving with intent. You're not just busy, you're effective. Action without purpose can burn you out. Purpose amplifies momentum. It channels energy in the right direction. It ensures that every effort brings you closer to what you truly want. The unstoppable don't just act, they act strategically, relentlessly, and with focus. Momentum is unstoppable because it becomes self-perpetuating. The more you move, the easier it is to keep moving. The more you accomplish, the more confidence you gain. The more confidence you gain, the bolder you become. Action creates results. Results create belief. Belief creates more action. That cycle generates unstoppable force. You start small, but soon the energy behind you grows so powerful that nothing can hold you back. Momentum becomes a weapon, a shield, and a catalyst for greatness. The key to creating momentum is to start. Don't wait. Don't overthink. Don't seek permission. Take the next step, no matter how small. One step leads to another. One decision leads to another. One action compounds into unstoppable energy. Every movement generates force. Every step forward builds velocity. Every effort compounds, and eventually you find yourself moving faster than anyone thought possible. Momentum is not about speed. It's about persistence. It's about consistency. It's about refusing to stop when others would quit, when obstacles appear, when doubt creeps in. The unstoppable create momentum by showing up again and again, regardless of circumstance. They don't wait for life to give them a break. They create their own path. They understand that motion breeds opportunity, energy, and influence. Movement is power, and momentum multiplies that power exponentially. Relentless action turns dreams into reality. It transforms intentions into results. It converts hope into achievement. The person who acts relentlessly doesn't wait for life to hand them what they want. They move toward it with unstoppable force. Momentum allows ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things, to break barriers, to defy odds, and to inspire those around them. It's the secret weapon of the successful, the hidden engine of transformation, and the unstoppable force that separates the doers from the dreamers. You already have everything you need within you to win. Too often, people look outside themselves for power, for validation, for tools to achieve their goals. They wait for the right circumstances, the right mentor, the right opportunity, or the right resources. But the truth is, all of that pales in comparison to what you already carry inside. Your mind, your heart, your courage, your resilience. These are the true engines of achievement. Every person who has risen from nothing to greatness discovered that the only thing truly required was the decision to believe in themselves and act on that belief. Inside you lies untapped potential waiting to be unleashed. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you've lost, or how limited your past may seem. What matters is that you recognize the power that already exists within you. Too many people underestimate themselves because they've been told their whole lives what they lack. But every great life begins with the moment someone stops listening to external limitations and starts listening to the voice inside that says, I can and I will. That voice is your compass, your engine, your guide, and your shield. Winning doesn't require external validation. It requires internal alignment. You can wait for someone else to hand you opportunity, or you can realize that the only permission you ever needed was your own. The truth is, when you trust yourself, when you act on your own vision, the world bends to your momentum. Every step you take in alignment with your internal strength multiplies your power. You begin to move with certainty, and certainty is magnetic. People notice it, opportunities notice it, and life itself begins to respond. Most people think they need more to succeed, but more is an illusion. Resources can come and go. Circumstances can change overnight. Relationships can disappoint, but the strength within you is constant. It doesn't disappear, it doesn't fail, it doesn't depend on luck. What's inside you can create more than you ever imagined. It can find solutions when none exist. It can carry you through adversity when everything else falls apart. That is why realizing your inner power is the ultimate breakthrough. It frees you from dependence, fear, and hesitation. Your mind is your most powerful tool. It shapes your reality far more than any external force. The person who masters their thoughts can master their world. Every belief you hold, every idea you nurture, every story you tell yourself about who you are and what's possible determines the life you create. If you believe you're powerless, you'll live powerless. If you believe you're capable of more, you'll start to see pathways where others see walls. The power within you begins with the decision to think differently, to imagine bigger, and to refuse to be limited by what has been or what seems possible. Courage is already inside you. It doesn't need to be found. It needs to be activated. Every time you face fear and act anyway, you strengthen the courage that already exists within. The unstoppable aren't fearless. They simply refuse to let fear control them. They recognize that the voice of doubt is not the truth. It's just a challenge to rise above. Every step into the unknown, every choice to act despite discomfort, every risk taken despite uncertainty reinforces the truth that what's inside you is stronger than any obstacle outside of you. Resilience is already part of your makeup. Life will test you, push you, and challenge you, but your capacity to endure and rise is already encoded in your spirit. Every time you've survived hardship, you've proven it to yourself. Every time you've gotten back up after failure, you've strengthened it. You don't need to look elsewhere for durability. The power to persevere has always been within you. And the more you exercise it, the more unstoppable you become. Your creativity and problem-solving ability are within you. You don't need a perfect plan handed to you on a silver platter. Every time life presents a challenge, your mind contains all the tools you need to navigate it. The solution might not be obvious, but it is discoverable when you trust your instincts, think resourcefully, and act decisively. The unstoppable leverage what they already have, their experience, their intuition, their curiosity, to transform limitations into breakthroughs. Everything you need to achieve your goals, confidence, intelligence, resilience, courage, and vision is already inside you. The external world is merely a reflection of the inner world. If you see yourself as lacking, you'll always see barriers. If you see yourself as capable, you'll begin to move mountains. The realization of your internal power shifts the paradigm. You stop asking, do I have what it takes? And start saying, I have everything I need, and I will prove it through action. That shift is transformative because it removes dependence on anyone or anything else to validate your progress. Action is the amplifier of what's already inside you. Belief without action is inert. Knowing you are capable isn't enough. You must act consistently and decisively. Every step forward activates more of your inner potential. Every choice to persist, to endure, to push multiplies the strength you already possess. Momentum grows, confidence grows, and the reality of what you can achieve begins to catch up with the truth of who you already are. Many people fail to recognize that what they're seeking externally, success, happiness, freedom, influence, is already embedded in them as potential. The person who looks outside for permission, validation, or resources is missing the fundamental truth. Everything begins internally. Once you awaken to the resources, courage, resilience, and vision within you, the external world becomes a mirror reflecting the power you already carry. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions because the conditions themselves are created by the energy you bring. Your intuition, your instinct, your inner guidance system, these are gifts you've been given to navigate life. When you learn to trust them, you unlock clarity, decisiveness, and confidence that no external factor can provide. The more you act in alignment with your inner wisdom, the stronger that power becomes. You begin to see life not as a series of random events, but as a field of opportunities waiting for your engagement, waiting for your activation, waiting for the unstoppable force you already are. Persistence is already inside you. The capacity to endure, to keep moving forward despite failure, despite pain, despite rejection, is part of your DNA. Life will test it, challenge it, and stretch it, but the ability to persist is already in your hands. The difference between those who win and those who quit is simply the decision to keep going, and that decision draws on the well of power that has always existed within you. Confidence is already within you. You may have been conditioned to doubt yourself, to shrink, to wait for approval, but deep down, the belief that you can achieve is already there. Every time you act despite fear, every time you take responsibility for your life, every time you step into the arena of growth, you strengthen that confidence. The unstoppable understand that confidence is not built externally. It is activated internally. Every skill, every talent, every piece of wisdom you need to navigate life's challenges exists within you. You may need to refine, learn, and stretch, but the foundation is already there. You are not lacking. You are awakening. You are not incomplete. You are discovering. And when you operate from that awareness, you become a force that no circumstance can stop. You have the strength to overcome adversity, the vision to see possibilities where others see obstacles, and the courage to act even when the path is uncertain. You have the ability to create momentum, harness your energy, and direct it toward massive results. You have resilience, resourcefulness, intuition, creativity, and clarity. All of it resides within you right now, waiting to be claimed, activated, and used. The moment you recognize that you already have everything you need, everything changes. You stop waiting. You stop doubting. You stop looking for external validation. You start acting. You start building. You start rising. You start proving to yourself and the world that your potential was never something to seek. It was always something to unleash. And as you step into the power that already exists within you, you realize that nothing external is required for your victory.